Hello and welcome to the Random Pinoy Geek podcast, the show where we geek out the 3 random topics until the timer runs out. I'm your random host JR, and with me are
Sushi!
And Elvin.
we're friends and geeks who grew up in the Philippines, and in each episode we hang out and talk about things that are near and dear to all our little geeky hearts. But before we start, if you would like to support the show and are a content creator ready to take the next step in your journey, check out episodify.com. They'll help produce and edit any content you're creating, whether it's audio or video, short form or long form, they do it all. That's episodify.com. Now on to the episode. Alright, so to start this week's episode, I would like to talk about Star Wars. That's me looking around the room, looking for random objects. So yeah, Star Wars, where do we start? How are the sequels treating you?
They're treating me badly, Alex. Seriously though, there's they're not good. They're not good movies, especially if your expectations are really high. But they're still movies. They're just movies I don't necessarily want to watch again.
Weren't you entertained?
Yeah, once, and that's it.
Are they Michael Bay Transformers level?
I also watched Michael Bay Transformers once.
So
and then
yes.
that's it.
And that's
So yeah, so the answer
So
is
they're
yes.
comparable.
Yeah, because my thing is like I think we're switching to the Bayformers, but okay, those movies are like, yeah, they're not great, but would you rather that they not existed?
Yeah.
I'm fine that they're there.
I'm fine. I'm fine either way.
Well, the first Michael Bay one was good, to be fair.
Oh, I
and,
thought we were talking about Star Wars.
and
like
Star Wars, the first sequel was also good-ish.
Force Awakens.
It's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, the others.
I could live without The Force Awakens.
Oh.
I can live without the sequel trilogy.
Nah,
But the fact
Force
that it's-
Awakens was okay. At the very least, okay.
Okay,
It's the last one that's
I'm okay with Force Awakens as a movie, but as I said, I can live without that because there's just so many things that are present within, the Star Wars universe, like the Legends novels, and there's so many things there that you can make stories from, and we're actually seeing that right now in all of these.
the Ahsoka stuff.
The
Yeah,
Ahsoka stuff.
I guess.
the
No, but it's more
Obi-Wan
of,
stuff.
would you have rather the sequels not existed? And I'm like, it's okay that they're there. It's not like, no, rewrite this thing, remove this from history, make it not canon.
Well, no, I don't need it to make it not canon. It's there already. You have to live with that. The thing is, what's the next step? And
It's
that's
Ahsoka.
No, because that's
It's
what
the
happened with
Ahsoka movie.
that's if you remember, with the prequels, when the prequels came out for Star Wars, there was initial like, oh yeah, excited for new Star Wars, and then over time it's like, wait, this is kind of not good, and then it
I should
eventually reaches the
never
point.
not like the sequels is the thing.
Well, they're not. But that's the thing. They're not great movies. They're movies.
They're good.
They're okay.
They're okay.
There are parts there that are exciting and you can rewatch, which is
Darth
more than
Maul.
more than what you can say for the sequel trilogy, unfortunately. Because
the prequels greater than sequels, of course. Yes.
because they still have the soul. It's still made by George Lucas. The soul might be meandering, unfocused, and sometimes overly
And a
self-indulgent.
Gungan.
The Gungans don't really get their actual redemption as a plot device until the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
The Clone Wars has a really, really great part where their bunch of Gungans are fighting General Kenobi. That guy.
Grievous.
Grievous.
Yeah, Grievous.
Hello there.
Yeah. General Kenobi. Yeah.
But
That's the
but at
call
this
and
point,
response.
at this point, that's the most quoted Star Wars line, I think.
Yeah. And the thing is, there's like
Well,
this
hello
part,
there.
there's a part in
High
Clone
ground.
Wars.
I have the
I have the
high
high
ground.
ground.
No, it's hello there. Because
Okay.
it just, including memes.
Okay.
Because every time someone appears, hello there.
Hello there.
Yeah.
This is where the fun begins. There's an episode in Clone Wars where the Gungans are fighting Grievous, and then Grievous stabs one of the Gungans, and then what do you do now? You have failed. And then the old Gungans
So
like,
it's also that people didn't hate the Gungans. People just hated Jar Jar.
yeah, because their expectations was different. Because
What was the expectation from a Gungan?
where did they get the expectation?
because I think it suffered from contrast. Look at the original trilogy. R2D2 and C3PO are generally not in the same scenes with Darth Vader. They're generally not in the same scenes with Obi-Wan. Very, very few scenes are there. Like the parts where Obi-Wan does his cool stuff
Mhm.
is never near the parts where R2D2 and C3PO are. They don't actually interact that much. They're not usually in the scene with as often as possible.
I mean, R2D2 and Obi-Wan were in a lot of scenes. It's just that they never
But C3PO
like spoke to each
yeah.
other.
So but C3PO wasn't that often, which is more the more
Yeah.
active
more-
comedy thing. Whereas unfortunately Jar Jar was like next to
everything.
particularly Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon. And the
Yeah,
Obi-Wan
yes.
Qui-Gon were the cool ones. So in contrast, when you see Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, which were like these very cool, very like they're Jedi Knights, a Jedi Knight and Jedi Master. And then you have this comedy thing.
Mhm.
And so whenever you get this comparison of two things, it creates a jarring thing. But I am happy that, Ahmed Best was able to return as this new Jedi character in the
I still don't feel too. I still don't feel that Jar Jar was that bad.
It wasn't. The Dark Jar Jar wasn't that bad, but he suffered from
Or not,
from the
but I
movies.
didn't even feel that Jar Jar was bad at all.
Well, he suffered, as I said, he suffered in the movies because he's next to these things, and the contrast in the
Yeah,
screen is
even
kind of
next to
jarring.
these people, it's
But if you take Jar Jar alone and separate him from the thing, he's actually just like Jar Jar. He's a
no,
comedy
like
part.
even with Obi-Wan and Anakin, it's still. I mean, if you're talking about comedy, like Obi-Wan wasn't deadpan. He was, below there.
But that's episode 2 Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan's like episode 1 was the most jarring thing because Obi-Wan was a unhumorous monk in the
Because
first episode.
Qui-Gon was.
Qui-Gon was the one that's a
Nah.
little bit more easygoing. That sort of he adopted later on when he adopted it.
I don't know. It just still doesn't look as bad to me.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it isn't, but I can see why there's this jarring Jar Jar.
Jar Jarring.
Jarring.
Which is
Because
the etymology of the
or
word.
worse, you see Boss Nass, for goodness sake. What a strange character.
I mean,
Jar
no,
Jar.
that's just how he talks. It's not like it's.
Yeah. The idea I think with Star Wars is that the sequel trilogy tried so hard to sort of create certain views without having that soul, that spirit of the closest thing that the sequel trilogy had to that soul was when Luke appeared, the one where he force projects
Yeah,
himself.
yeah.
That was the
That was
closest thing
that's clearly the best scene
in the
in that
sequel
trilogy.
trilogy. Yeah. Not even her fight with Palpatine.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And
That's forgettable. I don't even remember what happened.
and he's like,
The third
I
one
am-
was a lot worse than the first two, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's also like they focused on the wrong things, I think. Like there's a scene where I think it was the first time she held the lightsaber
Mhm.
where they made they spent like 2 months to edit Eric McGinnis's voice to have him say Ray.
Alec Guinness.
Sorry, what did I say?
Eric McGinnis.
Is Batman Beyond?
That's Terry McGinnis.
Terry
but
McGinnis, I don't know.
It's Prince Eric from The Little
I
Mermaid
don't
and
know.
mixed with
I don't know. Like, yeah,
yeah. Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness'
His
voice
voice.
to say Ray.
Ray.
I don't know. I feel like maybe not 2 months, 2 weeks, whatever, an insane amount of time.
Yeah.
I feel like I could have done that in a day or something. Like with anyway, like
And when you have the shows, Ahsoka, you have The Mandalorian, and you see how heavily and how much the creators, Favreau and Filoni, are able to care about Star Wars and how they link to the past and how they move to the future. It's such a stark contrast. And I think that's the big thing about Star Wars nowadays. Like, I'm excited about the future. Unfortunately, the future is the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
So
No, I think the thing is with the sequel trilogy, it's not. Yeah, it may be all of those things, fine, but it's also like just the main story, just like who is Ray?
nobody.
Have you guys?
That's the point.
That's the point. It's nobody.
Yeah.
And then like they
Oh, sorry.
rewrote
It's nobody.
they
no one.
rewrote too much of it, like almost all of episode 9, right, or something like that.
Yeah, like Ryan Johnson had
Yeah.
like an idea and he couldn't really execute it to the end, which is unfortunate because Ryan Johnson is a great director. Glass Onion and Knives Out shows that he is a good director. It's just that
Well, I said it might just be because of Daniel Craig.
Daniel Craig,
Yeah.
Benoit Blanc, I say, yeah. But
Yeah.
it's not just that.
Or
He
Ana de Armas.
crafts he crafts really good stories, and Star Wars is a story that you can craft. And he wasn't given the opportunity to end the story because there were
Yeah.
like little hints that he started. Is the broom in the second movie or the third?
Broom?
The kid that force pulled the broom.
Oh yeah. This
Is it the
I don't
second
know.
or the third?
I don't even know.
Yeah,
anymore.
it. But that's sort of like emblematic of the problem of the sequel trilogy, of how much it doesn't necessarily.
Watching it in the theater though was okay.
It was okay.
Like the experience of waking up early, because here they show at like 8 a.m.
Mhm.
with your lightsaber and stuff like that,
Mhm.
which everyone does when it's the first day in IMAX.
Mhm.
Everyone's there wearing Jedi outfits and everything. Like there's no written anything that hey
Mhm.
we're cosplaying,
Yeah.
but people are just there. It's still a good experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's which makes the movie not as bad
Well,
because it's a cultural event still.
Mhm.
But
I
yeah.
do hope that like in 20 years time the sequel trilogy will have the same cultural
I
cultural
don't think
impact.
so.
Neither do I, but I hope that it has, because you can see how much the sequel trilogy is expanding, or like it's becoming more and more accepted because of the people that grew up watching it, that appreciated what it had to give to them, and they're able to look past and forgive these technical limitations that George Lucas had as a director, which is, that's normal. There are limitations. But they're able to move past it because of the certain things that he was able to focus on, which is really nice.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys if you have talked to the newer generations on what's their take with the sequels.
They haven't seen it.
Really?
It's
They
not,
don't
they
bother
don't
because you,
bother.
you didn't watch the first 6, so
I mean, it feels like an intro for people
or they
to
did, but
get
they
into
slept
the
through it.
older Star Wars.
It would be a bad intro to get into this
Yeah.
older Star Wars.
Mhm.
Unfortunately.
See.
You have to start with Mandalorian is fine,
And theirs is nice.
or Ahsoka, but then you just rewatch it again after you watch everything else.
I mean, you can't just watch what is the title? What's the title of the first sequel?
The Force Awakens.
Force Awakens, and then just since you don't understand, you just watch the other older films.
It has no value whatsoever if you didn't watch the older films.
Yeah, it
It doesn't pique your curiosity, so that
Because
you
the
could
things
watch
that
them.
give it value are the things that like you finally see Luke Skywalker again and things like that, which have
So it was
totally
fan service.
no value. It's a bit fan servicey, yes, but it's also it is what it is.
Okay.
In summation, how do you feel about sand?
It's rough. It's coarse and rough and gets everywhere.
And now sushi, or what are we doing?
Well, I wanted to talk about film as well, but I guess I'm skipping that. So
Again,
really,
no.
what was the earliest film that you have watched, and what was
In a
your
movie?
film? So whatever, as long as it's film, what was the first
So
you
hard.
watched, and what was your interpretation at that time?
That's a super hard question.
I know what it is. It's just a
in
little bit.
like on TV.
No, the first movie I watched,
Yeah,
I know
that's
was
what I mean. The first movie you watched in a movie house, you'd
Yeah.
remember. But the first first movie you watched on TV?
On TV?
It's hard.
On TV
I have
is
no idea.
On TV it's
Do
a
you know?
challenge.
It doesn't matter where you watched it. What was the first film that you
that's
remember watching?
Yeah,
and-
that's the thing. The first thing you watch is like I can't remember anything. But I know what the first film I watched in a movie.
I guess
mean,
the first
yeah.
movie that you remember, I think was
Yeah.
she was asking. So the first one I watched was I was 2 years old.
Wow, that's so early.
Because no, it's not of my choice. Because my dad, who's like this crazy cinephile, brought me his 2-year-old child to watch Return of the Jedi. I remember it was in Green
In the
Hills.
movie house.
In the movie house in Green Hills. I was brought there. I remember it distinctly because I was a kid. I was terrified of Jabba the Hutt, and I was screaming as a child.
oh.
So my dad brought me out, and he was really angry because he was missing Star Wars.
Movie houses weren't rated before, or
It was,
was
I don't know,
May-
but I was that
Seems
was the
so.
first one, and I corroborated that with my dad. It's like, do I remember this like Jabba the Hutt like this? Because I remember this like slug man like that.
Also,
and,
Star Wars, I think was general
yeah, for kids.
rated G.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I have no idea. I'm not
we
sure.
remember how kid friendly Princess Leia in the bikini
course.
was. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
But the first movie that I remember, like from start to finish, actually Back to the Future.
wow.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the series, because the Back to the,
The
Future
movie?
series,
The cartoons?
no, the 1, 2, and 3, the series. I did.
Okay. No, I thought there's a cartoon series
Yeah, of course, the one,
with the twins.
yes,
no,
the
twins,
kids,
not kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
Jules and Vern. But the third movie was the first movie I watched multiple times. Sorry, the second one, because the first one I remember watching it like on TV, but not on the cinema.
When you watch films in television, was it dubbed Tagalog or
No, it's
No.
it's
English.
still English?
I can't actually watch it in Tagalog. It's kind of
No, because Sunday nights is $1 million movies.
Yeah,
Before,
$1 million
right? And
movies,
then they
yes.
had, yeah. I think one of the first ones I think Batman was one of the
Batman was an early
Batman
one.
Returns was the first one of the early ones that because I don't remember what I've watched a lot of movies, as in a lot on TV, on Betamax, and then VHS, but I don't remember what the first one was.
well, that's the first movie that came into your mind, I guess.
That's the best $1 million movie I remember is the thing.
Mm.
Because I remember people asking me what's on next week. Oh, it's Batman with Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer, and like actually saying the actors and actresses' name, and they're like, why is this kid? Because I was 8 or something, and something like that, 9, and then doing that. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, the first movie I watched in the cinema was actually a Dolphy movie, Spadang Patpat, which I don't know.
Dolphy?
Dolphy, yeah. He played mentally challenged like
I remember a Dolphy movie as when I was a kid too. But this is the one where he's a tikbalang,
no,
and
that's a different
he's like
one.
there's like a bunch of monsters, and Dolphy is like this half man half horse mythological creature, and they're trying to save a land of aswangs and stuff.
I don't know.
Wow.
The one I watched, I actually just know that it's the first movie. I don't know what I don't remember anything. It
Mhm.
was boring because it was a drama.
Mhm.
I don't even know why they took me to it. Oh, because my mom wanted to watch it. But yeah, the first movie that I remember watching, that I remember every single part, is actually like the Disney movies.
Mhm.
Lion King, Aladdin, and stuff like that. I remember watching Back to the Future as well, because let's face it, Back to the Future 1 is literally a perfect movie,
Great movie.
but I don't know when I watched it.
Mhm.
So I don't know if I actually watched it in the 80s or the 90s or
I think
whatever.
I watched it on VHS. Oh, sorry, Betamax.
I remember watching Batteries Not Included.
Oh, yeah.
Really early as well. Which if you watch now actually sucks.
Mhm.
It was cool back then.
CGI in the day, back in the day.
Yeah.
It was the
Was it
poor
CG?
man's. It was the
I
poor
think it's
man's.
stop motion. I don't know.
Yeah, it was the poor man's Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah. it was fine. Oh, what's the other one? What's the one with the stories?
Which one?
The one with it's a anthology. It's a series, not a movie.
Amazing Stories?
Amazing stories, yeah. I
Where-
remember the one with the plane.
Oh, you don't remember the one with the magazine?
I only remember the one with the plane where he can draw things and he drew like he was the gunner and the underbelly gunner and then the landing gear was destroyed and he had to draw golden wheels
Mhm.
for the plane to land for him to survive because he was trapped in the underbelly hatch.
Do you remember the Amazing Stories
That's the
episode
only that's the only one I remember.
where there was this guy that was able to create a potion that when he poured it onto a picture,
it will be turn alive.
yeah, it
Yeah,
turned
actually.
alive.
Now that you mentioned it, yes.
And then it's like the woman's gonna kiss me, and I'll be yours forever. And then he did it once. It's like a little. The picture is like just this tall, and he closed it. And
That's
then,
like 1 foot tall for people.
yeah,
at home.
exactly. Sorry, yeah, it's like a foot tall, and then later on it's gigantic, and then
Yeah, I do.
and then the cliffhanger was that the potion poured, and then it was falling on this like monster magazine, and that's how the episode ended. It's like Steven Spielberg's Amazing
Yeah.
Stories.
Oh, I know Sushi's answer. I think. I
Oh,
think
their
it's The
first-
Hobbit.
Nah, actually, no.
Not the but
It's quite amazing
not
that you
not the
you-
new The Hobbit, by the way, the old one,
Yeah.
the cartoon.
It's amazing that you guys actually remember the titles of the first film that you watched because I don't remember the title, but I do remember the scene. There's this
Is it?
mountain. It's a lake with the mountains at the background, and then there's a bunch of people that are vacationing. I guess they're college students, and then there's this raft in the middle of the lake,
Mhm.
and then these people swim to the raft, and then it becomes a horror movie. There's a sludge, I think,
Mhm.
that eats these people.
So this is a D horror movie.
That's the first film
It's a
that I
B
remember
horror.
watching.
Oh my god, that's so sad.
Is that an American movie
It's
or is it?
it's an American movie. Like
Okay.
and that's the whole film. Like they swim to the raft, they have a good time, they camp, and then suddenly the next they get to sleep on the raft. If
Oh,
I
is
remember
this
correctly.
the one where they needed there was a car underwater and they used it to
No, because
Ah.
here's the thing. So they got to sleep. Next day, I think there was sludge passing through the pallets of the raft,
Mhm.
and the black sludge was eating these people. It was dissolving them. So
I kind of
You kind of remember
Yeah,
the
yeah.
film? I don't remember the title. It was really scary and traumatizing for me as a kid. That's why I never learned how to swim. I don't like swimming at lakes or steady water. Like the ending of the movie is that they weren't able to return, so no one survived the movie. So my takeaway from the movie, my
Oh,
interpretation,
it's a Stephen King movie.
really,
Yeah, 1987, The Raft.
Yep,
it's literally
The Raft.
The Raft.
the the graph segment of Creep Show 2. Creep Show 2 is like the movie.
Oh, it's a segment.
It's
Oh,
a-
it's it's an
it's-
anthology.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's the first film. Well, it's part of a film that I
But you only remember that part.
I clearly remember.
Or Creep
that.
Show 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I actually kind of remember this, but I never watched horror movies as a kid.
I don't remember why I was able to watch it.
I was mainly scared of Child's Play because
I unfortunately was a bad child who took and watched my parents' Laserdisc films. So
fancy.
yeah, well, cinephile, remember? But yeah, so unfortunately, I watched
It?
Yeah. The first one.
Oh my god, that's another movie that's so terrifying to me as
yeah,
a kid.
as a kid,
The
I
Drain?
watched.
Yeah.
Yes, the
The
drain,
Drain.
the grain. I couldn't take a bath for like several
Same.
days because of that. And this is like a kid, and so until now, I'm still
This is Tim
scared.
Curry.
by-
I am.
That is
still.
Tim Curry. I'm still afraid. I'm still afraid of clowns until this day. That's like those early days. But I thought you were gonna say something completely different because, like,
I thought she was gonna say The Hobbit.
I did watch The Hobbit, the
yeah.
70s cartoon animated.
oh,
lot.
Ralph Bakshi of Lord of the Rings.
the Hobbit one specifically
Oh,
because
okay.
she watched it a lot, and I know that story.
I still watch it.
Yeah.
I like the mountain song in that movie. I can't sing it because they have a deep voice.
Deep, deep, deep voice.
I'm standing in the eye of a storm.
No,
Yeah, that's what the orcs sing.
the one they
Yeah.
sing by the fireplace
Oh, okay,
before
that's
they
different.
travel.
I haven't seen this. I watched Lord of the Rings though. Oh, you know what? I haven't watched the prequels.
Oh, but JR, they also sang that song in the remake
of the
in
Hobbit.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched it.
Oh, you haven't watched it either.
No, because it's so hard to watch because it's 60 frames.
Oh, I see.
Because they shot it for 3D, which works best with the higher frame rate. So instead of the standard 24 FPS that you're used to for cinema, they shot that in 60 frames. So it's so weird to watch.
I don't feel it or recognize it, I guess.
Well, if your TV doesn't do 60 frames back when you watched it, or the cinema here in the Philippines, then yeah.
Ah, right.
Anyway,
Anyway, to wrap things up, I'm so amazed that you guys still remember the titles of the movies that you watched when you were kids, especially Elvin. But you know what's amazing?
I was gonna do that.
Episodify.com.
Yeah, if you need someone to help edit your videos, podcasts, shorts, or whatever other projects, Episodify can help with that. They offer different packages and provide discounts when you buy more hours. So if you're just starting out and would benefit from some professional assistance or just want to make your job easier, give them a call. That's episodify.com. Now back to the show with Elvin.
Well, it's funny because the topic that I want to cover is actually similar to that.
We're doing movies? Okay, movie
movies.
episode.
That's 'cause
Let's go.
It's movies as well. I don't know why it happened like that, but it's actually more to do with weta. So weta is a type of bug that is found in New Zealand.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's a
I
type of
didn't
like a
know that.
gigantic, horrifying cricket that's found in New Zealand.
That's why that's the logo.
That's the logo.
Weta is the name of a bug?
Yes, it's the weta
But you're
bug.
familiar with Weta Digital, right?
No.
They're the ones that made Avatar.
And the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
But
Wow.
yeah. Crowning Glory Avatar.
Avatar.
Two.
Yeah.
Wait,
Two?
they
Yeah.
made the first one as well, but Avatar 2 is just like, come on.
Yeah. So the idea there is Weta Digital is like one of those, like, when you look at that studio, you have a clear idea of what they are. Like they're the ones that have such attention to detail. They pride themselves in using actual
Wait, so
like,
what's our topic? It's Weta?
it's so the studios. So digital studios, Weta being one of them, is just a sign of all of these different
Well,
studios.
technically, Weta is a VFX house.
VFX house, yes. But you have the progenitor of that, which is Industrial Light and Magic.
Yeah.
ILM, which is the one that started all of the things that people take for granted nowadays.
It was just a Lucas company, in case someone didn't know.
Yeah. Do you guys have like a specific type of special effect or something that you saw back when you were watching movies, these movies that we were just talking about, that sort of gave you like, oh my God, that's a real thing? It's like, was something that made you that shocked you or amazed
Yeah,
you?
Avatar 2.
The
What are we-
way of water.
The way of what the hell how the hell have they done this?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
looked up Weta or Weta,
Weta.
the studio,
Weta-
and I
Weta-
looked at their filmography. I'm surprised that they did effects for Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery.
Because BFX houses don't get the glory they deserve.
Mhm.
Is the main thing, right? Like when you say Avatar, you like the first thing or person that comes to mind is what's his name? Titanic
one?
guy.
James
Cameron,
Cameron.
right? You don't say, "Oh, Avatar." Oh, Weta Digital, right? Unless you're a Corridor Crew fan, which
Yeah.
I am. But yeah,
And-
I actually have a Weta shirt downstairs.
And
From
even
Weta.
and even if like you have something like Industrial ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, that's like almost universally known. People don't understand the impact that studio had on filmmaking in general. Special effects, green screen, all of the things, miniature work, all of the things that people use on a consistent basis for special effect shots were all pioneered by ILM personals. Such a big effect. And yeah, I agree. Like these studio houses aren't really given the respect that they deserve or
Right.
like the recognition. But I was asking also like what are the things that you saw, like some sort of effect that may besides the entire movie of like
The entire
the
movie of
entirety of
Avatar.
Avatar.
I have something to say to you about that
Uh-huh.
for your question. So I said they made effects for Glass Onion and Knives Out,
yeah.
Mystery. Everything there felt so real. So which part of that movie was visual effects, right?
But I think what they're talking about is that's part of the challenge and the curse of digital effects, that their goal is to be invisible. Right?
There,
Amazing.
I remember this. There were some people who were not physically in the dock scene. Well, like Batista wasn't there. They had to comp him in. That's why I forgot. Yeah, but yeah.
But when they were
don't-
talking, they welcomed the guy, right? They welcomed Batista.
Yeah, he was there.
He wasn't
That's a-
there.
No,
I wasn't sure
that's
if
a
it was
different part.
him, but yeah, there were some people who were not there for the doc scene,
Wow.
and they had to comp them in because that is, that they're so good at that it's just you're not gonna be able to tell unless you're one of those type that looks at shadows
Like super
and
focused
see
on
that
something.
this shadow is darker than this.
You look at the finer
Mm.
details. But I think
Which
they can
you
cover
can
that.
do, but-
Yeah, they can still.
No. They sometimes mess it up. To be fair, well, not wet, I guess, but
Mhm.
that's one of the main ways people are able to tell VFX is by looking at shadows.
Mhm.
Because shadows are supposed to be the same color.
Mhm.
Like there are, it's the same blacks, unless someone messed up the color grading, which Hollywood movies don't, or they have shadow over shadow, which is even worse. But see, you're not gonna be watching the movie the first time and looking at shadows, trying to spot
That's right.
what was VFX. Like if you're told to watch Glass Onion now and look for the special effects, then yeah, you could find it. Also, VFX, they're probably the explosions. But yeah,
There is a fire.
yeah,
Yeah.
those fires and
So
everything.
possibly the
Spoiler.
fire.
It's like,
Spoiler.
yeah. But like the one of the like visual effects, at least for me, that are really good that sort of catch me when I was a kid was the melting scene, Terminator 2.
Yeah, that was one of that.
Oh,
Even
gosh.
today, that holds up.
Mm-hmm.
When they
Froze the
not
T1000.
just the melting, the one where they
He's slowly breaking.
No, there was one where he went through
The
bars
grate- the
or a
grate, yeah.
cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that holds up even to today. Terminator 2 was great.
Yeah. The way that they were able to meld the actor's performance with the CGI, and then leading to that climax of the scene where they're freezing him and then he's like taking a step and then he takes his feet break as he's taking that step and then he finally shatters. All of those scenes were the transition from the live actor to the prosthetic to the mannequin and then to the break.
Are we talking about digital or also practical?
It can be practical as well. It's
Practical,
not doesn't necessarily come from ILM or from Weta,
Yeah.
but like these are special effects that sort of they don't take you out of the scene. It makes you like, oh my god, that doesn't. I know that that's not real.
That's not true.
But it's
But-
fine.
It like gets me like it.
No,
it
yeah,
really-
but that's the challenge with digital now. It has to look real. Is
Yeah.
the problem. And then you can, if you want to talk about bad effects, we're talking about Supergirl, right? The
Mhm.
series, but it's a series. It has no budget. It's timelines because there was one comp where it was
Mhm.
Melissa Benoist sideways, and they
Mhm.
just. It was clear that she was just sideways on a bed somewhere, and then they cropped it in and flew her.
That reminds me of like a video game. There's a video game called Dong Dong Never Dies, and they
What
they just
games are you?
From what
it's
console is
You
that?
No,
you
it's a-
play that while eating nano.
No.
it's a fighting game, and the actual art is just people that were on like chairs and they're doing like the spinning bird kick, but they're like on or doing.
I mean, to be
1,000
fair, Mortal
hands.
Kombat 1 was, yeah.
Yeah, that it's that same. But sometimes we have things in movies that are like very simple effects that work, and those are the things that sort of I wanted to like ask you guys about and find out if there were some things like that that sort of made you
No,
say,
Adam
wow.
West
Which one?
climbing up the wall.
Oh, those things.
No, not wow, but that was like, you know how they're doing it, but it's fine.
They're
You
selling
even
it so
see
well.
the cape going the way
Yeah.
Is that old Batman?
old Batman,
the old
yeah.
Batman.
Series? Okay.
You know,
when they
okay.
grapple, when they
Climbing
climb
When they're
up
the-
climbing, yeah.
yeah, and you
Okay.
can see the cape going towards, yeah. Adam West.
How about you, Sushi? Like anything seen from a movie or
The pod races from Star Wars. I really wish that existed. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know.
you have to, you have
I
to
really,
face it. Star Wars prequels are good.
Yeah.
no? Yeah,
I mean,
this is pod racing.
Actually, yeah, just yeah.
Mhm.
This is pod racing.
it was really amazing, and I wish that it existed. It
Did
looks
you
really.
know that Keira Knightley was in that movie?
She's a Padme, one of Padme's handmaidens.
The
Yes.
fake,
Just like
the fake
Fake
Padme.
Padme.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yes. Sabe. I think it's Sabe, yeah.
Something,
I think,
yeah.
yeah, the
And
one
then
of the
Pirates.
handmaidens.
Yay.
Oh yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean had very,
Very good
good
visual.
the
Oh,
transition between
well,
See.
Weta, the transition between bad VFX to realistic VFX was Lord of the Rings, the
Mhm.
first one.
Mhm. Oh, the first one, not the third.
The first one. Where
Mhm.
it's just everything before that, it's like, it's VFX, it doesn't look real, it's fine, and then
Mhm.
Lord of the Rings. Where it's like, what? Yeah. That's the. Oh no, but it was also a mix of practical, which I just thought it was digital. Okay, yeah, never mind. But also, yeah, the practical work with shrinking, like
The hobbits.
shrinking the hobbits, and so they had to make 3 of each because
Mhm.
you shrink the hobbits, you make Gandalf bigger, and then there's normal sized people.
And they used a special set for that for the practical parts, right?
Yeah, which
Uses
parts
forced
and
perspective.
parts of it moved to keep the perspective, and then the cart was like Elijah was sitting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think for the Hobbit, they just went full on CG, and that caused like Ian McKellen to break down because it's like just trapped in a void of green.
Hmm.
He
Yeah.
couldn't really. He's just acting in a void, and he broke
Plus, it's
down.
60 FPS, which is just wrong.
Yeah,
There's
it's
no
like-
excuse for 60 FPS.
but those scenes, especially in for me, pirates, the transitions between the moonlight, because in the moonlight, right, they turn into
Mm.
skeletons. And,
It's that
It's
part
nice.
is okay. The
It's
the
nice.
really good part CGI in Pirates is Davy Jones.
because of the
Like Davy
The
Jones,
Davy Jones himself.
period. Yeah.
"You're a liar." Bill Nighy was really good. Yeah.
That's one of the things that when you watch now and look at the date when it was made, it's like, wow, they shouldn't have been able to make this back then.
Mhm.
Because like Lord of the Rings was like, oh, okay, CGI is good now. But yeah, Pirates, Davy Jones was like, how does this hold up to today?
I kind of remember because of behind the scenes video, because I love watching the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings because it's so comfy. The VFX people were talking about how they were gonna making the Dead Men of Donaro, the ghost army that Aragorn was using, and then they were talking about they were doing real great, and then then one day one of their producers came in and says, hey, have you guys seen this movie, like Pirates of the Caribbean? Like,
Oh, they
"No."
just copied it from.
No, they showed it like this is exactly what we're doing, and so they had to scrap their original ideas for the Dead Men of Donaro because of how similar it was to.
Oh, they should have been decaying people.
It
blah,
was
blah,
going to
blah.
be just like skeleton
Mm.
armies that so similar to.
But they
so
haven't started it.
they did it already. They were like in middle of previs, and so they were
Wait, who
Oh, that's
made
right.
Pirates?
Disney.
No, BFX.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking it up while you talk.
Yeah. But they saw that, and so they changed. So I remember that Pirates came out around the same time as the third movie, because that's what they were. Well, no, the third movie, because the third movie was in production with the first and second.
Pirates was ILM.
ILM. Okay,
And
makes sense.
yeah, and Lord of the Rings was yeah. Those are I don't know why I even Googled it because those were the only 2 companies that are capable of doing that back
Possibly.
then.
Yeah, and the idea is like they were creating in parallel, and they had to change.
Did they ever release the scrap
No, because
skeletons?
if to finish the render, because the renders takes months sometimes.
Oh.
So if you know you're not doing it, you just scrap it.
Yeah,
Like
they need
that's
the,
a
they need
that's
the
a
storage.
that's a thing with Weta these days. They actually have factions, which is the Avatar people and the not Avatar people. Because to get access to the rendering farms, you need to make sure that the Avatar people are not rendering anything.
Otherwise, they're gonna eat everything.
Because there's a queue. Because if an Avatar render is gonna take 2 months, then you don't have computers for 2 months.
Mhm.
Don't have renderers for 2 months. Anyway,
But the balance between technology and creativity, I think, makes these types of work, although they're not as celebrated, so essential in the movies that we enjoy, especially for something like Star Wars, or even some of the ones that we
oh yeah, how
watched.
they did Star Wars back then when it was filmed,
Mhm.
the first series, the first trilogy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we can go on for an episode talking about how they did that. But yeah,
Yeah. And so I think it's really cool that we still remember and we still like sort of are able to at least shed some light on some of these really cool things that these people make.
and that's our show. Thanks for listening to the Random Pinoy Geek Podcast. This has been JR with Sushi and Elvin. And remember, it's okay to geek out
As
long as you know when to stop.